Greetings, YouTube. I have been preaching for years on my channel that the secret to this game we like to call Marvel Contest of Champions is patience, which can be a really tough lesson to learn if, you don't like to be patient. And I get it. But there is a reason why I, at the time of recording this video, have the opportunity to take a Captain Marvel movie version that I recently pulled, thankfully, out of a 5-star crystal up to rank 5 and awaken. Because I have been hoarding this dang thing for a long time. In fact, I've been hoarding it since November of 2018, which time of recording this is well over 6 months. But at the same time, I get a lot of questions on things like the line app where people will send me a screenshot of several champions and they'll say, "Prof, who should I awaken?" And they'll get kind of ticked when I respond, "None of them." Because they'll say, "But I have the gem, I want to use it." Well, tough. You shouldn't, because those champions, quite frankly, are not worth the gem, especially if it's a generic. Now, why a generic? Well, if you're stumbling upon this video just wanting to know facts about your champions and who to awaken months after I've recorded this, thanks for clicking it on. I hope it helps you. But at the same time, why am I doing this now, and why are so many people asking me about this now? Because they are actually learning, and they're listening, and they're realizing that in this Summoner Appreciation Calendar in weeks 7 and 8, which are coming up pretty fast, everybody will get a free 4-star generic awakening gem, and that, again, is available at the time of recording this in 9 days. So I'm proud of my Summoner following because they are trying to do what I preach always, and that's think ahead. So for this video, I will be talking about 4 stars and the generic gem specifically. There are champions that are fantastic to use class-based gems on, but I wouldn't use generic, and I will do my best to specify that in the video. Also, keep in mind, I don't have all 4 stars available, particularly somebody like Namor, who is worth the generic from everything that people have been telling me, and certainly, if you can get him at a high sig, go for it. However, I don't have him, so that's a shout out to him. Also, new champions that are just coming into the game, like Sunspot, I haven't seen them yet, so this is why I do this video once every couple of months, because it just needs to be updated with better, more relevant data. Okay, but for now, we're going to go class by class, because that is the fastest way to do this, and talk about what to do in terms of that generic. The two no-brainers that I always say, if you're in the science class, do you have these champions? Captain America Infinity War and Void. Those two champions, without a doubt, are worth a generic 4-star awakening gem. Now, there's quite a few champions that are better in this class if you use a gem. Even though people say he doesn't need it, I think Luke Cage is well worth the class gem, right? I also think that you've got some awesome new science champions like Human Torch and Invisible Woman that you might have fun playing around with. The Thing is certainly one of the best champions, well deserving of the class-based. The generic, I'm kind of on the fence about because I just don't know enough, because I haven't used him enough to think about the difference in awakening ability, but from what people have been telling me who use the 6-star unawakened version, you can still do an insane amount of damage. So that tells me, unlike Void and Captain America Infinity War, that it's nice to have, but not necessary. So of this list, Void and Captain America Infinity War get my strongest recommendation. Everybody else, I would hold off comparatively. Now, the skill, generic Blade, abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. And if you only have this champion, believe it or not, and you have a lot of SIGs you can put in, I think if you're trying to fight the Collector, OG Daredevil could be worth it, or even Black Widow. But if you don't have the 6 stones, hold off on them. Blade certainly gets my vote in that regard. For defensive purposes, I guess I could have brought up Electro in science, but Korg isn't, to me, worth a generic because he is so ineffective on offense that really he's just for defense. And if you're desperate for somebody on defense, I guess you feel like you're going to have to make that choice, but I wouldn't. I would only use a generic on a champion that benefits me both offensively and defensively, or even just offensively. Besides that, I've had some people tell me that Nick Fury to them is worth it. I respect that. I disagree personally because I think Aegon is far more worthy of it than Nick Fury if you're giving me the choice. Now, if you don't have Aegon and you have Nick Fury and you think you're going to use him, especially for synergies, then go for it. But I would say Aegon and Blade are my top two choices of this class. And as always, I could stay and I could rant more, but your time is valuable. So let's move on to the Mutant class, where I want us to talk about Archangel right off the bat. I think Archangel is very much worth a generic because the difference in that neurotoxin damage of Awakened versus Unawakened is huge. Omega Red, also worth a generic. Wolverine, worth a generic. X-23, no. Iceman, it's kind of a coin flip. I used a generic on my 5-star Iceman back when I had no good 5 stars. Would I still make the decision today? Maybe not, but then again, he's helped me a lot in content. He's just kind of hit a ice cap, if you will, pun intended, because you just don't have the same kind of output now of the class that you did back in the day because you have so many good champions like Havoc and Emma Frost, certainly Domino. And even though I love Domino, I don't think she needs a generic at all because she's so good unawakened. So Wolverine, Archangel, Omega Red, those are my 3 top choices of the Mutant class, along with throwing in Namor. I don't know at the time of recording this how good Sunspot's going to be. I don't know how good the differences in hopefully what will be huge improvements to Colossus and Old Balls Logan. So until then, I'm going to hold off on making those recommendations. For the Cosmic class, I would say that Medusa, Venom, and the new Captain Marvel are 3 of my top choices. I've had people who just love Venom the Duck use on Venom the Duck, and they say even though he doesn't really need it, it's nice to have. Same with Cole Obsidian, and for that matter, one of my favorite champions of the game, Hyperion. All of those champions, if they are your best Cosmic champion, it's fine, but I think they don't benefit as much on paper as Captain Marvel movie edition, Medusa, or Venom. And keep in mind, as variant continues to evolve and other content continues to evolve, you want to make a variety of rank ups depending on not only class but also size, and that's why somebody like Venom is so good because he's an extra large, amazing champion. From there, Corvis does not need the generic. In fact, I think it would be a waste of a generic, even though Corvis is still one of the best champions in the game by far. I could rant and keep talking more and more, but I am going to keep going, and congrats to my one battle group that won another war at the time of recording this. Okay, let's talk about the tech. As much as I love Stark Spidey, the difference between Unawakened and Awakened Stark Spidey for a generic is not nearly as much as the difference between Awakened and Unawakened Vision, or for that matter, when you scroll down, I have been told, even though I don't really use him, that Darkhawk benefits greatly from it. And when we're scrolling down even more, Star-Lord is certainly a champion that is a huge game changer Awakened. If you've got a Star-Lord and you've got that generic gem, it's a no-brainer to me. Awaken him and hopefully put some 6 stones into him. Ghost certainly gets much better if you're amazing with Ghost. I get it, but I would not say objectively that Ghost benefits as much as a Star-Lord or a Vision. So that is the tech class. I know I'm going about this really fast, but I really don't like to have 20-minute videos on my channel. Your time is too important, so we're moving on. Scarlet Witch, even after patch 12.0, which is somehow a couple years ago now. We are so old, YouTube. Scarlet Witch still benefits amazingly from the generic. Dr. Voodoo, if he's your best champion, I'd recommend him for a generic. So many of these others are champions that even Awakened are going to be pretty good, but I wouldn't use a generic on them. Somebody like Juggernaut, of course, you get much better with the Unstoppable, but a generic gem, no. I'd rather say Morningstar than Juggernaut, even though comparatively it just isn't going to be the same value as, say, that Scarlet Witch or Voodoo. From there, I also have to say, some people will disagree with the statement because I've seen them talk about this in the chat. Magic is somebody that I would say screw it. If she's your best champion, particularly for power control and that extra limbo, go for it. Use the generic on Magic. Does she benefit as much as Dr. Voodoo or Scarlet Witch? Maybe not, but she's still incredible and one of the best champions in the game for utility. And if you're thinking about starting up this grind for Act 4 and Act 5, for example, Magic is going to be an MVP on so many paths for you, so why not make that champion the best she can be? There are champions in this class that a class-based gym are great. Symbiote Supreme, Dormammu are two that are in front of me and come to mind. But at the same time, if I'm just looking at the champions in front of me, Scarlet Witch and Voodoo get my top 2 billing. You've got some great champions in this class. Ghost Rider, of course, is a MVP and someone that can single-handedly carry you in Alliance Quest and sometimes even Alliance War. But does Ghost Rider need to be awakened to the same degree as Dr. Voodoo or Scarlet Witch? I think not. We just went through over 120 champions in 10 minutes, and I need a drink of water. But hopefully I gave those of you who are looking to use that 4-star generic gym in 9 days an idea of who to wait on. I love planning ahead. Patience can be difficult, but it is key, especially if you're not rich, and 99.9% of people watching this channel, I would imagine, are not rich. So just be patient, enjoy the game, and hopefully use these tips for your advantage to clear as much content as possible. As always, thank you for watching and enjoying, hopefully, my Marvel Contest of Champions YouTube channel. Have a fantastic day, no matter what day you're clicking on this, whether it be August of 2019 or August of 2023.